Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to crochet this poncho here. This is the Hidden Truths poncho. I like it. It's pretty. It's nice. Now this would be pretty much any size, one size is most, but you will have to adjust the length, you know what I mean? The more rows you put on it, the bigger it will get. So that is easily doable as far as adjusting the length. But yeah, it looks the same on both sides. Super cool. I like it. You guys want to get started on it? Let me give you a measurement of mine. How about that? Start off with a measurement. It's probably the best way to go. Okay, so I'll start from the top point here, or the bottom point of the neck, and I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom point. I probably ain't going to be able to see it on my desk because it's so small. 25 inches, okay? And then let's do from arm point to arm point across. I don't really know any other way to measure it than that. 32 inches. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna set this aside, and I'll go ahead and show you the supplies that I used here. All right. As always, though, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button. You'll see it in the lower right-hand corner. Give this video a like if you enjoy. Now, you know, if ponchos aren't your thing, I do have a triangle shawl made with that stitch. Picture of it right here. All right, that was more like a cowl, but you could just keep going and make it a big triangle shawl if you want. And you can use any weight of yarn on that as you want, as you'd like. So I'll put a link to that below or up on the screen now, maybe, if I remember. So what I use for this poncho here, I used Red Heart Super Saver Ombre. Now this is a 100% acrylic yarn, and the color I used is called Cocoa. I used 2 full balls, and they are 482 yards piece. Now, of course, if you want to make it longer, you're going to need more yarn. Or if you are someone of bigger stature, you're going to need more yarn. You can just keep going on the rows though until it fits you correctly. Ponchos are easy to adjust to any size. The more rows you do, the larger it becomes. So any medium weight number 4 will work. You do not have to use this yarn, but any medium weight number 4 will work. And the hook size I'm going to be using today is a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. Let's do this. Alright, so we're going to start off with a big long chain of 78 stitches, and then we will be slip stitching into the first stitch way over here to form one large ring, and this will be our neck hole. So once you get your 78 stitches, you want to follow it down without twisting your chain and slip stitch into the first stitch to form one large ring. Now I do not recommend making the neck hole any bigger than what I have done, because as the more rows that you put on the poncho, the neck hole stretches. So even though it might appear small right now, it will get bigger and fit. It'll be, you know, it'll get bigger and fit over your head just fine. So we're going to start row 1 by chaining 1. Now we're going to go back into that same spot that we just slip stitched into and do a single crochet. Now I'm going to work around my chain, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around until I get back to my starting point. So row 1 is just 1 single crochet in every stitch until you make it back to the beginning. Alright, once you make it back around to the end of row 1, you want to go ahead and end by slip stitching into your first single crochet, not the chain one, but that first single crochet. That'll end row 1, and you should have 78 stitches. So go ahead and pull up a little bit. Now what we're going to do is, if you want to find one stitch marker, I'm just going to use a piece of yarn. Now this is a 2-point poncho, so I'm going to mark off where the other point is going to go. That way when I get to it, I know where it's at. So our first point is going to go into this very first stitch that we just slip stitched into. Right there. So starting with the next stitch, not this one, but the next one, count over 39 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And in that 39th stitch, go ahead and pull a stitch marker through. That way you know that's where your second point's going to go. So now you should have 38 stitches in between your points. So I'm going to go ahead and start counting on the other side. So don't count the point where your stitch marker's at. 37, there is 38, and that is correct because my first point is going right there. So not counting this very first stitch that we slip stitched into, and not counting the stitch that we just put the stitch marker in, you should have 38 stitches on each side, and then those two right there. Okay, let's go ahead and start row 2, and we'll start forming the points. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start off with a chain of 1. Now we're going to work our first point right here into the very first stitch that we just slip stitched into. Okay, so we're going to do 3 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to go back into the same spot again and work 3 more doubles. There's 1, 2, and 3. Now we just did our first point. Now we're going to work along this side here until we get to our next point. So we're going to start off by skipping 2 stitches. Now you have to make sure and pull this point back here, because sometimes this very first stitch gets kind of caught up, and you have to make sure you catch that one or your count will be off. So you skip 2 stitches and put 3 double crochets into the next. And this is what we're going to repeat until we get to our point. Skip 2 stitches, skip, skip, and put 3 double crochets into the next. Again, skip 2, skip, skip, and 3 doubles into the next. And again, skip 2, skip, skip, and 3 doubles into the next. Now let's repeat this until we get to our stitch marker. Skip, skip. Alright, so I've made it all the way to my stitch marker. I just did 3 double crochets here in this stitch, and I have 2 stitches left before the stitch marker. So we're going to skip those 2 stitches, and we're going to work a point right here where the stitch marker is. So we can go ahead and take that stitch marker out. We don't need it anymore. So skip your 2 stitches, skip, skip, and in that next stitch we will work the point, which is 3 double crochets, chain of 2, and then we go back into the exact same spot and work 3 more double crochets. Just like that. There we go. Now we got both points of the poncho made. So now we're going to do on this side what we just did over here. So we're going to start off by skipping 2 stitches. Make sure you get that first one. So skip, skip, and in the next we're going to put 3 double crochets. Skip 2, skip, skip, and in the next 3 double crochets. So we're going to repeat what we did on the other side over here until we get back to the beginning. It's skipping 2 stitches and putting 3 doubles into the next. Alright, so I've made it back to my starting point. I have 2 stitches there that remain, so I'm going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into my first double crochet, and this will end row 2. Now let's look at what we got so far here. Now this is the stitch count you should have. You should have 12 sets of these 3 double crochets on each side of the point. So not counting the 2 sets of each point, you should have 12 on this side and 12 on this side. So here's my point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And here is my other point. I'm not counting the 2 sets of either point. And that's what you should have. And let's go ahead and start row 3. So we're going to start row 3 by slip stitching 3 times until we get to our chain 2 space. So there's 1, 2, and 3 right into the chain space. Now we're going to work a point right here in this chain space. So we're going to chain 1 and we're going to work 3 double crochets. There's 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to work a chain of 2, 1, 2, go back into the chain space and work 3 more double crochets. There's 1, 2, and 3. Now what we're going to do is we are going to work 3 double crochets in each of the spaces between the sets of 3 double crochets from the previous row. So I'm just going to jump right here into this space between these sets of 3. I'm going to go into it and work 3 double crochets. There's 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm going to jump right here to the next space and work 3 double crochets. There's 1, 2, and 3. And then the next space right here in between these sets, 3 doubles. So we're going to go ahead and repeat this until we get to the next point of our poncho. 3 double crochets right here in this space. 1, 2, 3, and this is what it starts to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and continue doing that, 3 doubles in each one of these spaces until I get to the next point here. Alright, so I've made it to my next point here on row 3, so I'm just going to do the same thing that I did on the first point. I'm going to work into the chain 2 space, and I'm going to work 3 double crochets, a chain of 2, and 3 more double crochets into the same chain space. Just like that. And now we're going to do on this side what we just did on this side. So we're going to go right here into this spot between these sets of double crochets, and we're going to work 3 doubles into that spot, just like we did on the other side. And then 3 doubles into this next spot here. So I'm repeating on this side what I did on the other side until I get back around to my starting point. 3 doubles in each one of these spaces, all the way until the end. Right, I've come to the end of a row 3, and I'm going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into my first double crochet, like that. Now let's go ahead and do a count. Now this time, when you count, do not count the 2 sets of 3 on each of the points. Now in between, you should have a 13 on each side. So here's my point. I'm not counting the 2 sets of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 on this side. And if you don't count these 2, you'll have 13 on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 for a total of 26 of these sets of 3, not counting the 2 that are in each point. So every time around, you will gain 1 set on each side, or 2 sets total, not counting the 2 sets that are in your point. I hope that makes sense. Alright, so rows 4 and 5 are going to be the repeat rows for the whole pattern. So we're going to start by slip stitching 3 times until we get to this chain 3 space. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to go ahead and work the point right here, same as usual. So we're going to chain 1, go right back into the chain 2 space, and we're going to work our 3 doubles. There's 1, 2, 3, and we're going to chain 2. You could slide them over if you want, and we're going to work 3 more doubles in the same chain space. Now remember, this is the repeat round. So what we're going to do now is we're going to be working in the same spots as before, the space in between the groups of 3, but we're going to do it just a little bit different now. So I'm going to jump over here to the space right here, as usual, in between these 2 here. And I'm going to work 1 double crochet. And then I'm going to work a front post triple crochet in the row below the middle stitch of this group of 3. So I'm going to yarn over twice like we're going to do a triple. I'm going to drop down and I'm going to do a front post triple in the middle stitch of this group of 3, like that. Yarn over and then go ahead and do your triple crochet like normal. And then I'm going to go back into this chain space up here and do a double crochet. So if you look now, you still have your 3 stitches in that space, but one of them is just a drop stitch down below here. And that's what we're going to be doing from now on. So let's go ahead and jump over to our next space right here. So we're going to work 1 double crochet into the space, and then we're going to do a front post triple, but we're going to drop down and do it in the middle stitch of this group of 3 down here. So this one right here. So yarn over like we're going to do a triple, but we're going to go around the post of that middle stitch like that. So the front of it is on your hook, and then we go ahead and do our triple crochet like normal. And then we're going to go right back into the same spot up here and do a double crochet. So see that? Eventually, the more rows you do, the posts will always line up, and they'll be a lot, you know, a lot more visible, I can say. So again, let's jump over here to the next spot and do a double crochet, a front post triple, but we're going to drop down and we're going to do it in the middle stitch of this group of 3. So we're going to yarn over twice like we're going to do a triple, go around the middle stitch, the post of it, and then do our triple, that, and then come up here and back in the same spot and just do a double crochet into the chain space, just like that. See that? And this is what we're going to continue doing until we reach the point, our next point of the poncho. So let's go ahead and do it again. In this space right here, we're going to work a double, and then we're going to work a front post triple. We're going to drop down to the stitch below. We're going to go through the middle stitch of that group of 3 and work our front post triple, and then we're going to come back up to the same spot that we've been working in and work another double crochet, just like that. So I'm going to continue this until I get to my point. Alright, I've made it to the point of my poncho here, so I'm just going to jump into the chain 2 space and do what we always do, which is 3 double crochets, chain of 2, and 3 more doubles. Now again, we have to do on this side what we just did on this side. So we're going to come over here to this space in between these 2 sets, and we're going to work 1 double, and then a front post triple down below in the middle stitch of the group of 3, and then another double in that same space up here, just like that. And then we jump to our next space right here and we work a double, a front post triple in the stitch in the middle stitch below of the group of 3, and then another double into the same space. So we're repeating on this side what we did on the other side, and I will meet back up with you when I get over here to the end. Alright, I'm coming to the end of row 4. And I'm going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into my first double crochet. Okay. Now, you should have, if you do not count the points, do not count the 2 sets of 3 of the points, you will have 14 sets on this side, 14 sets on this side, for a total of 28 sets, or 2 more than you had the row before. You will always have 2 more sets than you did the row before. 1 set on this side and 1 set on this side. Just remember, you never count the 2 sets of 3 that are on each point. It's in between the points. Okay, let's go ahead and start round 5, which is the last row of the repeat. And I do want to mention that if your work is curling, that is fine. That happens when you work with post stitches. We'll take care of that at the end. So if it's curling up, that's normal. It's going to do that. So let's go and start row 5 by slip stitching 3 times until you get to your chain 2 space. Chain 1 and go ahead and go back into the spot and do what we always do in the points, which is 3 doubles, chain 2, and 3 doubles. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we are going to be working in these spaces between the sets of 3, but we're not going to work any post stitches this round. Okay, so this round is very similar to round 3. I guess you could say it's the same. But we're going to go right into this stitch right here and work 3 double crochets, and into the next spot right here, and we work 3 double crochets. So no posts on this round. In the next space right here, 3 double crochets. And we're going to do this until we get to the next point, the 3 doubles here. Just like that, until we get to our next point. Alright, I've made it to my point down here, and we do the same thing that we always do at every point, which is 3 doubles, chain 2, and 3 more doubles. And again, we have to make this side match this side. So we're going to start off, and we're going to put 3 double crochets in each of these spaces right here, just like we did on the other side. No posts, just 3 doubles until we get back to our starting point. Alright, I've come to the end of round 5, and I'm going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into my first double crochet. And now you will have a total of 30 of these sets of 3. Do not count these 2 sets on each point. So you'll have 15 on this side and 15 on this side for a total of 30, which is 2 more than you did have the row before. So it's always 2 more than you had the row before, 1 on each side. So now it's just a repeat of rows 4 and 5. So we're going to go ahead and repeat for row 6. We're going to do a repeat of row 4, which is the post stitch row. So we're going to go ahead and slip stitch 3 times till we get to our chain 2 space, chain 1, and then go back in the chain space and work our point, which is 3 doubles, chain of 2, and 3 more doubles. Okay, now it's just a matter of keeping our posts lined up. Now the very first one that we go into will not have a post. You'll have to put the first post here. Every time we do a post stitch row, you'll have to do the first post on the first one. But all the other ones, they'll have a post, except for the last one will not have one either. So go ahead and start off into this space right here, and we just do what we did on row 4. We double crochet, and then we triple crochet in the middle stitch of the group of 3 below, front post triple, and then we do a double crochet back into the same space. And then we come up here to the next spot, and you can see the triple crochet from the previous row. So we're going to go into this space, we're going to work a double crochet and a front post triple around that front post triple from the previous row. So it's always keeping our posts lined up, and a double crochet back up in the next spot. Again, jump over here to the next space and work a double crochet and a front post triple around that front post triple down here, and a regular double crochet into the same spot. So we're just going to keep repeating this pattern. Remember, it is the same thing we did on row 4. We're just keeping our posts lined up. And we're going to keep repeating rows 4 and 5. Every time you repeat row 4 will be the post stitch row, and they will line up You'll see them better. And then every time you repeat row 5, it will not be a post stitch row. And remember, every time you'll have 2 more sets of 3 double crochets than you did the row before, 1 on each side of the point. Now you want to continue repeating rows 4 and 5 until you get to your desired length. Everybody's different. Some people want it shorter, some people want it longer, some people are taller, some people are shorter. So you just keep going until it fits you the way that you want it to fit. So I'm going to continue on, and I'll let you know here in just a second how many total rows I do. Now remember, if it's curling up, that's fine. That's what happens on post stitch rows. It's normal. But I'm going to keep going, and I'll be back here in just a second. Well, it'll be a second for you, several hours for me, I'm certain. And I'll finish mine out to the length that I want mine, and then I'll show you how to finish out the entire things that we can do to finish out the entire poncho. All right, so round and round we go. Rows 3 and 4, we just keep repeating, and I'll see you guys here in just a second. All right, so this is where I am. Okay, so starting with row 1, which is the very first row of single crochet, I did a total of 26 rows, and that ended me on a row where I did triple crochet. And then I went ahead and repeated the row where we did not triple crochet 3 more times for a total of 29 rows. So as you can see, these last 3 rows here, they do not have the post stitch. It's just 3 rows of the row 5 repeat. Now you can do yours however long you want it. It really depends on what size you're looking for. So you can try it on, and the more rows you do, the bigger it will get. Now if you decide that you want to do the post stitches all the way down, that's fine as well. I stopped the post stitches there and did 3 rows without the post stitches, so it wouldn't curl up so much. So if you do decide to do the post stitches all the way down, I would recommend ending on a row without post stitches. You know, that's always something that you can do. You can add fringe if you'd like. You could add a single crochet border if you'd like. Whatever you want. It's your poncho. Do it however, you know, you do you on your poncho. It doesn't have to be just like mine. But now what I'm going to do is trim up the collar area. So I'm going to flip my work around, and I'm going to bring in my yarn. Let me fold this up a bit here so we can see what's going on. Okay, here's the back side of my work, and you can see that by, here's my beginning tail. So what I'm going to do is just kind of start in one of these stitches here in the back, pull my yarn through, and I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to try to hide these 2 tails as I go so I don't have to sew them in later. So I'm going to go back into that same stitch, and I'm going to single crochet. Now I'm going to work around, and I'm going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch around the collar area until I get back to my starting point. So it's just 1 row of, well, it's a row, we're doing right now a row of single crochet around the collar. 1 single in every stitch. I apologize, I don't have a lot of room at this particular recording area. So, but as you can see, it's just all the way around. 1 single in every stitch around the whole neckline until you make it back here to your starting point. That's where I'll be back up with you. All right. So I've made it back to my starting point. Now you should have a total of 78 stitches because that's what we started with. If you got 78, right on. But if you don't, as long as you got somewhere close to that, I call that a good day. So go ahead and if you want to slip stitch in the row, you can. I'm going to go ahead and do one more round of 1 single crochet in every stitch. So I'm just going to jump to the first single crochet and single crochet in it. If you'd like to put a stitch marker here to keep count till you know where you end, you can. I'm just going to count my stitches as I go. That way I'll know where I end. But I'm just going to go around one more time, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch. Now by all means, remember, your poncho, not mine. You make it how you want. You want 1 row of single crochet? You want no rows? You want 10 rows? It's completely up to you. I'm doing 2, and when I get back around to my starting point, I'm going to end by slip stitching into my first single crochet, tying off and hiding my tail. Alright, here it is. It's about time I call it quits. That's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed my tutorial. Hey, don't forget to come follow me on Instagram, Facebook. Check out all my tutorials. Hundreds of them. Hundreds of them. Anything you could ever want to make. Multiples of them. Tons of ponchos. Check out that shawl also that I made in this stitch. And subscribe, like, and I'll see you in my next video. Stay safe, everybody. Bye-bye, guys.